Hello, hello, and welcome back. You are watching Zenith Glow Astrology, the YouTube channel. My name is Christina, and I am an astrologer, and you are watching my channel. Thanks for being here, folks. Welcome, welcome. Yay! We are at the final event of the year 2025. Astrologically speaking, of course, there are still holidays that are imminent for some of us. In this video, though, we are going to be discussing the big culminating event of December, which is the new moon in Sagittarius that is happening concurrent to the winter solstice. So, welcome. Get excited because it's a very exciting event and I'm super pumped to talk about it. I'm also really pumped because I was listening to a lot of music before I started this video, and yeah, the playlist was lit. We had a little electric light orchestra, we had some Beastie Boys, topped it off with a little Sweet. Do you guys know Sweet? It's okay. We're not going to get into it. It's fine. Just if you know it, you know it. If you don't, that's totally fine. So yeah, let's talk about this new moon in Sagittarius. Before I start, please, if you would, like this video, subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell if you haven't already. Doing so supports my work, and I so appreciate all of your support. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. I love you all. All right. New moon in Sag. I am super pumped for this new moon because it will be conjunct with my sun on my birthday. That's right. My birthday's this weekend. I'm turning 40. I am really excited to be turning 40, which I realize probably not a lot of people say when they're turning 40. There seems to be that midlife crisis that hits around this time, but I actually am super, super excited. I feel like the first half of life was a bit of a journey, and I'm getting really, really stoked for the second half. So, although maybe I'll have more than just half. Okay, let's not get into that. Anyway, I also want to just note, you probably can't hear it, but just in case you can, Jazzy is under my desk chewing a bone. So if you hear some grinding and some thumping sounds, that is Jazzy contributing to this video as well. So the new moon in Sagittarius, this is going to be happening December 19th in the Eastern time zone because it's going to be at 8:43 p.m. Eastern time. And of course, Pacific time and everything that goes that direction around the earth. But if you're over across the pond, over in Australia, that side of the earth, then this will be happening on December 20th for you. All right. So between the 19th and the 20th, because it's happening so late in the day on the 19th, we have the new moon in Sag. It will be at 28 degrees, 24 minutes of Sagittarius. So this is a really exciting new moon. Just because, it's been, sorry, you guys, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Have you guys ever seen the show Fargo? I just kind of sounded a little Minnesota there. Minnesota. Okay, I'm sorry to my friends that live in that region of the United States. I hope I didn't offend anyone. Um, yeah, so it's just been like a really long year, as we all know. We've all been doing a lot of work, but the energy is shifting. It has shifted. Many of us are feeling this now. This is a portal, right? We talked about this at the 12/12 not too long ago. What was that, last week? The 12/12 opened the portal, and then the 21/12 closes the portal, or it's complete. That's when we move through the portal. And again, we're not talking about strict lines of delineation here because energy is fluid, as I've said many, many times. But in general, this is the window that we're looking at. It's a very significant time. As well, oh, geez, I just realized I forgot to put this in my chart. That's okay. We're all going to use our imaginations. Boys and girls, we're going to use our imaginations in this video to imagine the Galactic Center, which I also talked about in the 12/12 portal video. That is what makes this a portal. right around December 12th is when the sun, as it transits through the sign of Sagittarius, becomes or it starts to move into conjunction with the galactic center. Okay. And then on the solstice, actually, no, not on the solstice. On the 19th is when it becomes more exact in that conjunction. But again, we feel conjunctions, we feel aspects as the planets are starting to move into the orb of influence. And so we start to feel that influence around the 1212 portal. And then we have the exactitude that happens around the 19th. And then I like how I said around, it's exact around the 19th. And then we have the solstice, which is another peak in energy. So it's just like all this energy clustered together. It starts to build at the 1212 portal. And then we get this like big blossom of energy, um, which, yeah, I'm feeling it. I hope that you're all feeling it because it feels good. It's a good kind of energy in general. There are some tricky aspects that have also been going on and are still sort of ongoing that I'm going to talk about. But in general, this is a really positive energy. Okay. Sagittarius is a very optimistic, happy, buoyant sign. It's also a little bit all over the place. So, there's pros and cons to every sign and all the energies in astrology. But when we're in Sagittarius season, we can feel a little bit more lighthearted, a little bit more optimistic. We get that influence from Jupiter coming in, which rules Sagittarius. And then Jupiter this year is it's in Cancer, so it's exalted, it's in its exaltation. That's what I was trying to think of. So yeah, having the ruler of all of this energy being in a sign that it's exalted in, it just brings a little extra like mwah, like a little bit of that sweetness to everything, and we are feeling that now. So let's see, what do I want to do first? I want to look at the chart first, so that's what we're going to do, folks. I hope you're enjoying my energy today. I'm enjoying it, so, somebody's doing well in all of this. Okay, so here's our chart for the new moon. We have quite a few interesting aspects happening. I will talk about the first and foremost. So, obviously, like I said, the sun and the moon are going to be conjunct in the sign of Sagittarius at 28 degrees, 24 minutes. So take a look around your chart and see if you have any planets that are near 28 degrees in whatever signs they may be in. They will be aspected by this new moon if they are. As well, this is interesting. We have goddess asteroid Juno in a pretty tight conjunction with the new moon, and we also have Venus in a pretty tight conjunction with the new moon. Venus is a little bit farther out of the configuration, but she is very much within that orb of influence. So we're going to talk about that and what that means. And if you are starting to become familiar with the way aspect patterns look in astrology charts, you may notice we've got some green dotted lines going from Uranus and Jupiter pointing at the new moon. Does anyone know what that is? Anybody? Anybody? Yada, yada, yada. We've got another yod aspect happening with this new moon. So this is where some of that tense energy might come in at this time, because again, yods, we're talking about two inconjunct aspects that are in sextile to each other, or rather the planets that are in conjunct the apex planet are sextile to each other. These are outer planets, so we have Uranus and Jupiter sextile, and then each of those are forming in conjunctions to the new moon. Quadruple conjunction. Where have I heard that before? Oh yeah, at the new moon in Scorpio, we had a very similar thing going on. But this is going to be, and that was a beautiful event. This is also going to be a beautiful event, but the energy's even lighter now. So, the way that you experience this yod, it might be more subtle, it might not. It's going to depend on you. I will say, and we'll get into we'll get into it. But there's going to be stuff going on, I would say, on more of an interior level with this one. And again, it's sort of pushing us into this beautiful, liberating energy, right? Sagittarius, like liberation and freedom and expansion. So, whatever does come up at this time, I just suggest letting yourself feel it and just letting yourself flow through it, because ultimately you are being ushered into a different perspective. And we'll talk about it. But if there's going to be something kind of a little awkward, or um, something giving you that kind of detour energy or paradoxical energy, that's definitely coming from the yod. And once again, yods, in case you forgot, have to do with divine realignment. And this is why they can be a little bit like stop in your tracks. Oh, shoot, I just walked into a detour and now I've got to figure out a different route. They sort of have that energy to them because you are being divinely realigned through this aspect pattern. So it can be a little bit jarring at times or a little bit confusing at times, but when you tap in, when you connect spiritually, and when you allow yourself to flow where you are being moved, they tend to be a little bit smoother. So we've got that going on. And then we also have the new moon itself squaring Neptune and Saturn in Pisces. So we could have a little bit of tense energy coming through that. But overall, there's not too much going on here that's like, ooh, that's going to be awkward, or that's going to be really harsh. Because in general, there's kind of this undercurrent of optimism running through everything right now, which is really, really beautiful. So, some other things happening. Speaking of, beautiful alignments, the new moon is also going to be trine with Chiron in Aries. So, we have some lovely healing energy coming through this event. And then, wowza, we have Black Moon Lilith, and she is. In this chart, she is literally perched in the last 5 seconds of the sign of Scorpio. As we get deeper into December 20th, she will have transited into or ingressed into the following sign of Sagittarius. She will be at 0 degrees of Sag on December 20th. So she's officially done in Scorpio. She's been there for the last year or so. So we're going to probably feel that energy, even though Black Moon Lilith is a little bit more unconscious because she is that feminine darkness within us. Again, when these planets, when these points change signs, we tend to feel that, especially if they've been in that sign for a while. So there might be a little bit of that shifting energy coming through. But again, this is, Sagittarius energy. So there's kind of like a little spark behind it, which is nice. And then I also want to point out, and this is again a point of potential tension, sorry. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm feeling extra silly today. We have Mercury squaring the nodal axis at this time as well. So Mercury is in Sagittarius, the nodes are in Virgo and Pisces. Mercury is squaring those that line. So this is all a part of the message. And yes, I did a tarot reading. Yes, we're going to talk about that, but it all makes sense. It all kind of factors into that. So again, there could be potentially a little bit of tension coming through that point. But again, I think it might be more of an internalized tension that we're feeling, or potentially a little bit of communication and relationships coming up to highlight shadow stuff for us. So, but I really don't see anything that's like in your face. So hopefully this will be, a lovely event for everyone. Not that the other events are not helpful when we experience that kind of harsh energy. It's just, they're not as much fun. So let's see. I just want to make sure I didn't forget anything here. Yeah, the only thing I just want to point out is that as Black Moon Lilith ingresses into the sign of Sagittarius, she is making one final aspect, which is a kite aspect. So she is opposite of Uranus and Taurus, and she is forming a grand water trine with retrograde Jupiter in Cancer and then Saturn, Neptune in Pisces. So again, there is a little bit of tension with her opposition to Uranus, but that is a waning opposition because she's moving into the next sign over. We've already experienced the the climax of that energy. So I think that, again, this is going to be kind of like pressure releasing, or things that were unconscious that came up to the surface. We're starting to integrate that stuff at this time. So it's not the dramatic heightened state of emotion and, all that energy at this time. Okay, let's let's put that away. Get rid of that. Okay, let's talk about the little tarot reading I did, the little tarot reading that could. I decided not to do anything too elaborate because I actually did 3 tarot readings, but they're very small. They're very little, just little tiny, tiny readings for you guys, little bites. So this tarot reading is really beautiful, and it very much speaks to the energy that we are feeling at this time with this new moon. So again, new moons, right? We're talking about new beginnings. We're talking about seeding things, planting seeds. We're talking about a time to make wishes and to set intentions. And this is extra powerful energy because we have the winter solstice and because we have the sun conjunct with the galactic center. Once again, I forgot to put the galactic center on my chart that we just looked at. So use your imagination to imagine that in that little quadruple conjunction. So then it would be a quintuple conjunction. 5 things all conjunct with this new moon. Extra big, potent energy going into that, right? So, yeah, manifest, folks. Set some intentions, make some wishes, and we're gonna get into that too, why certain messages came out. But just keep that in the back of your mind as you're hearing everything I'm about to say. So with this, sorry, I'm distracted hearing Jazzy chew on his bone. He's getting really into it. He's just like in the zone right now. With this tarot reading, we have 2 significator cards that came out that are both really, really beautiful. So we have the Dove of Peace, and then we have Syrian Emissaries. Now, this is actually the second or third time that Syrian Emissaries card has come out in various readings that I've done recently. So I'm thinking that there's some very strong Syrian energy at this time as well. And this is a time when you can see Sirius in the sky at night. At least everyone should be able to see that. I think. If you find Orion, which is a very, easy to spot constellation, and then you look south of Orion, there is a beautiful blue and red sparkly star, and that would be Sirius. So I have been watching it at night, and so I think it's really interesting that this card popped out. So what does all this mean? Christina, stop yammering about the stars, and let's talk about the tarot reading that's in front of you right now. So, the Dove of Peace, this is really beautiful. This is actually about, and keep in mind, these are significator cards. So, this is like the most prominent energy that's coming through. When we look at all those aspect patterns that we just checked out in the previous chart, this is the like underlying energy or the overarching energy, the most prominent thing that's carrying us through this event. So, there is an emphasis on shifting your perspective with this new moon. And that makes a lot of sense, right? Because we have a prominent aspect with Uranus, which happens to be a yod, and then we also have that square with Mercury. So there is emphasis on shifting your perspective, as well with Sagittarius being opposite of the sign of Gemini, right? Which is what Mercury rules. We are talking about a shifted perspective because Gemini is a very grounded kind of energy. It's very rooted in the 3D or in the physical reality and what we can perceive and observe and analyze. It's very logical, right? Sagittarius takes us into our intuition. It takes us into a type of perspective that isn't quite so cut and dry. it changes, it shifts depending on whom is holding the perspective. Sagittarius is this sign of expansion, right? It's symbolized by the centaur or the archer who's aiming their arrow towards the stars. So there is this symbol of trying to aim higher, trying to go higher, trying to expand and broaden your perspective, your understanding, your horizons, right? Your experiences. Um, in astrology, we always say, oh, well, Gemini can relate to like the local arena and local travel and things like that, or the third house, which Gemini rules. For Sagittarius, we say in the ninth house, we say this is, about experiencing different cultures and traveling, overseas or going beyond your local neighborhood to experience different types of environments. Because when we go into those other types of environments, we shift our perspective, right? We experience something beyond what we're normally used to. And so that is the energy of Sagittarius. Now, you can take it beyond the earth realm and you can expand that even higher into cosmological reality. And Sagittarius is also very concerned with truth, truth with a capital T. Like, what is the ultimate truth of reality? Is there something that weaves all the varying divergent truths together? Right? And that's part of the lesson of Sagittarius as well. You know, how can we learn to speak to different levels of understanding of truth to reach people where they're at rather than coming from this place of, well, I have it all figured out and you have to believe what I believe. Sagittarius can be dogmatic in its shadow. So it is really about understanding uh, how reality functions, how it is composed, what people experience, and ultimately, underneath all of that, what is truth from this shifted perspective. Okay, now why does that matter with these tarot cards here? Well, because that's the energy, right? It's about shifting and expanding our perspective. We have this card, the Dove of Peace. This card is about stepping away from drama and conflict to get in touch with your inner peace, with that angelic frequency, that, you know, non-violent, non-dramatic, non-contentious, just very zen kind of energy. And I think this card is really important because we are constantly bombarded. If you're on social media or if you are watching any kind of mainstream media, we are constantly bombarded with negativity and with conflict and with doomsday scenarios and all kinds of pessimistic outlooks, right? And it's also feeding us a specific way of looking at reality, right? Not just necessarily from a pessimistic lens, but there tends to be this consensus that happens amongst all the different media outlets on the story that's being told. This kind of goes into Gemini energy, right? Uh, what kind of story, what kind of narrative is being woven in our media? That also relates to Mercury and Gemini. Um, and it's so important. And it doesn't just have to be media. It can also be just the environment that you're in. If you're at the workplace or if you're just out in the world somewhere or with your family or your friends or whatever, your social circles, there can be different stories that are being told. Or, a story is told in one place and then it's repeated, right? We tend to repeat things. Did you hear so and so just died? Or did you hear about what's going on in this country? Or did you hear this on the news today? Did you hear? Did you hear? Did you hear? Uh, and this is very normal, right? This is a normal thing that we do. We kind of do it unconsciously a lot of the time. And it's also one of the ways that we are conditioned to fit in with society, right? We all chat about the weather and we all talk about the news and what's going on and here and there. And even in the communities that are more spiritual or consider themselves more awake, we're still talking about these things, right? The stuff that we're talking about might be considered more alternative, but there's still these like trends that happen in what is floating out there on the airwaves, right? And what is being shared amongst people. And so the reason I'm bringing this up is because it very much ties into the themes of Uranus as it had transited through Gemini this year. Now, mind you, Uranus has backtracked into Taurus at this time, but it's bridging these signs together. So we're still holding the energy of both signs. As well, Uranus is this deconditioned, higher mind energy anyway. And then again, we have this Sagittarius energy that's about kind of shifting our perspective. Jupiter ruling Sagittarius, ruling the new moon, is in the sign of Cancer, which is currently retrograde. And that is asking us to dig deep into our emotional realm and into the root of ourselves to discover our truth, our authenticity, and what lies hidden below the surface, especially related to emotions, right? All these things tie together because our thoughts create our reality, right? We've been talking about this. This is nothing new. What this tarot reading is really pointing out, once again, because we're talking about a new moon, because we are planting seeds, whether you are doing it intentionally or not. You could be on the ground, on your hands and knees, digging little holes and putting seeds in the ground, or you could be walking around and sunflower seeds are spilling out of your trousers. And maybe you're, talking about the conflicts that are going on, or how bummed you are that this is happening, or how depressing this is, or whatever. I'm using metaphor here, of course, but my point is that, you know, what you speak and what you think is what you are creating. And no, we can't always be like 100% of the time attuned to this, right? Because we have to also be present and just live our lives. We can't always be like a step outside of things, always mindful, always seeing what's happening from that spiritual lens. But we could, a lot of us, make more of an effort to be in that mindfulness, right? Because it is very, very easy to get kind of lured into the unconscious patterns that we are conditioned to hold in our reality, right? It is an illusion. And that illusion is very, very persuasive. It is very hypnotic at times. And it is very easy to play on our emotions and to pull us into these patterns that shift our frequency into a more negative state, right? And then when our frequency is in a more negative state, that's what we're attracting. That's what we are manifesting. So that's why this is talking about dove of peace, stepping outside of the conflict, seeing the illusion for what it is. Now, this Syrian emissaries card speaks very much about the same idea, a little bit different, but very, very similar. This card talks about focusing on what you want to create. It talks about focusing on joy and and delight and new earth and being a little Pollyanna. Oh, this is so Sagittarius. I'm just realizing this because one of the criticisms of Sagittarius is that it can be a little bit Pollyanna, right? Like, oh, you're so naively optimistic. And yes, potentially it can hold that energy. But one of the big messages that came through this tarot reading and the others that I've done is this idea of, yeah, well, maybe what's wrong with that, really? Like, what is wrong with being a little Pollyanna in a world that embraces nihilism, that embraces pessimism, where the standard of living is at this low frequency where everything is negative and we're always anticipating the next worst thing so that we can brace ourselves against it? What's wrong with a little bit of Pollyanna optimism? We're going to talk about it. Not what's wrong with it, but, being a little bit more optimistic. So, this is all about liberating the imagination and recognizing that the negativity that we experience in this reality truly is an illusion. It truly is an illusion. And I know this is the hardest thing, folks. I really do know, like from a practical level, that this is the hardest thing to be living in a reality and experiencing things physically in front of you that are negative, right? That are hard, that feel scarce, that feel crying, okay? And then to be able to still hold this secondary vision in your mind of the reality that you can't see physically in front of you yet. I understand very well how difficult that truly is. And that is why this is considered spiritual mastery, to be able to hold both visions simultaneously. That's Sagittarius energy, by the way, folks, because you are in that expanded perspective. You see things from the boots on the ground Gemini level of it all. You see the duality, you see the polarity, you see the dichotomies, but you also see from the expanded perspective simultaneously. And you recognize that all the stuff that's happening here and the bickering and all the things that are going on down here are really just an illusion, because it's all part of this bigger umbrella of what's happening out here, right? So that is truly what this is about. These cards are encouraging us to shift our perspective and to embrace optimism, to embrace joy, to embrace the possibility of miracles, to think about what you want to create, to get in touch with that inner child that is just craving that joy and that play and that fun. Uh, because let's face it, we're always in the other energy, right? Like that's kind of the baseline energy of this reality. Like, oh, I got to pay my bills and I got to go to work and I have to be responsible and it's all serious all the time. And did you hear the headline? And did you read the article? And did you hear so and so saying this? That's the baseline, okay? So let's give ourselves a break from that, especially when we are in this window of manifestation, when we are being given an opportunity, Jupiter, right, to truly manifest something brand new. Both of these cards talk about shifting paradigms. They are about shifting paradigms. And again, when we think back to the chart, right, to the yod configuration, the poking of the new moon by Uranus in Taurus, which is retrograde still, and by Jupiter in Cancer, which is also retrograde. So again, there's kind of this like unconscious energy coming into this, right? And it's really asking us to examine our thoughts and what we are speaking into reality. Okay, to be more mindful. That is why when we look at our tarot cards that give us some clarification on our significator cards here, we have the Queen of Swords. Okay, this is that feminine air energy, right? That is mindfulness. That is observing your thoughts. That is being super sharp, super clear, super discerning, not getting too sucked into emotion, being able to notice what you are feeling from a place of objective detachment, right? Being able to notice what patterns you're falling into, okay? We then have the Two of Wands, which is a fire element card, but it's about expanded perception. I mean, this very much holds Sagittarius kind of energy. It's like looking out to see what is possible. What is possible to create? Because we've been functioning at this level of reality for so long that has conditioned us so deeply to believe that there is a ceiling on this thing, like that we can't go beyond a certain level because such and such says it has to be this way, right? So and so said this. you know, this is the rules of science, or this is the rules of society, whatever. We've been conditioned to believe that we're limited, right? And spirit is coming through and saying, no, that's an illusion. The negativity and all that stuff, it's an illusion. That's not really reality. You get to choose what you want to participate in. You get to choose what you want to experience. And yeah, it's true. We are in a 3D reality. So what you're making up here isn't going to just instantly be right in front of your face. And let's face it, maybe that's a good thing. Because some of the things that pop into my head, I don't want to have immediately show up in front of me. I'm not, that adept in my mind. I haven't mastered my mind enough for that to be, a plausible reality. But so it takes a little bit of time for these things to manifest, is what I'm saying. And I know that that's hard. I know that's hard because meanwhile, you're still like there with all the stuff in front of you, and that stuff seems to be very negative. But again, that is why this is considered mastery, right? This is what makes you a spiritual master. Being able to have one foot in both worlds, being able to see both realities simultaneously. And no, you can't see the 5D right in front of your face in the 3D way. It's not 3D, it's 5D. You experience it up here in the imagination. You experience it here in the higher heart, right? When you merge these two things together, imagination and heart, that's when you get magic. That's when you get manifestation, right? And again, it takes mastery to be able to do this. And that's part of what's coming through at this time. We are very strongly being encouraged. Detach from the conflict, cultivate peace within yourself, step back from the illusion of negativity, and embrace joy. Embrace possibility. Embrace what your inner child wants to see created at this time. I talked about at the 1212 portal how this is a time for healing the inner child, right? This is a time to heal the inner child. This is how we do that. We break free from the conditioning. Uranus, that yod with the new moon, we are being divinely realigned. Uranus is like, enough is enough. I am sick of all of these limitations that have been placed on our beliefs and on our imaginations, because our imaginations are limitless. Why would we allow ourselves to be conditioned to believe otherwise? Right? Especially when reality springs from our imaginations. So, it is time to shift the paradigm. It's time to shift the paradigm. So, oh my God. Yeah. Embrace your inner dork like Christina does. Have fun. Have fun. That's exactly what these cards are telling us, right? Find the joy in your heart at this time because this is a manifestation portal window. And what you're feeling and what you're believing and what you're thinking is what you are seeding into reality. And then we have the King of Pentacles, or the Muse of Pentacles in this deck. This is about mastering the physical world. This is about becoming a 3D master, right? Finding security, finding stability, seeding new earth. That is what this is talking about, folks. It is really beautiful energy. It is really exciting. And once again, that yod, that finger of God poking us, divinely realigning us, it is saying, discipline your mind. Discipline your mind. Sorry, I think about Professor Snape in Harry Potter. Yeah, when he's practicing, what is it? I can't remember. Occlumancy, something like that. Anyway, uh, yeah, it's talking about that Queen of Swords energy, right? Like discipline your mind, because your mind and your heart, of course, your heart as well, but your mind is a really important thing. It is so easily captured when you are not conscious of it, right? And yet, it is such a simple thing to take that back, to take your power back. Take back the power of your mind. Take back the power of your imagination. Shift your perspective. If you've been conditioned for such a long time to run on these same neural pathways, right? That's what happens. Our neurons create these pathways in our brains, which are the thought loops, the patterns that we are so used to. It does take a little bit of effort to build new bridges, okay, in those pathways in your brain, the synapses, whatever the terminology is, you know what I'm talking about. Building new bridges is hard, okay, at first. But the more that you do it, the more you discipline yourself, the easier it gets. And then what happens? Everything opens up. Two of Wands. You begin to expand your perspective and you begin to invite in new ways of perceiving, new ways of believing. And from those beliefs, that is when we can manifest new paradigms, right? This is new earth. Okay, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm hammering this on a little bit too much. So that was the first tarot reading. I wanted just a real quick message regarding the Galactic Center because the Galactic Center is very important. And, I talked about this in my 1212 video. It is literally the center of our galaxy. It is like a feminine womb. It is a black hole. It is like a portal. It is where everything is birthed from, right? And during this window of time between 1212 and 2112, we get these downloads, we get these insights that can come to us through the galactic center, okay? And we're talking about this divine feminine wisdom that comes through, okay? So I wanted to know, what does the Galactic Center have to tell us? So I pulled a couple cards, but I also channeled a little message from the Galactic Center, which was super cool. So the cards, again, know yourself. This speaks to exactly what I was just saying with the tarot reading, all right? We have this Wheel of Fortune card, which I actually think is pointing us to Jupiter, because in the major arcana, this card is connected to Jupiter, okay? And and it literally has moon cycles on it, right? And Jupiter's in the sign of Cancer, which is ruled by the moon, okay? So this is pointing us to that Jupiter in Cancer energy where we are having our inner world, our emotional world, our ancestral roots, right? Our deep buried shadow selves, which includes the undiscovered parts of ourselves. All this stuff is being expanded and brought up for us to see more clearly, right? And Jupiter is grace, right? Jupiter is opportunity. So even when there's tricky things that come up as we do this work, ultimately it's giving us a boost into expansion, right? It's offering us a leg up, an opportunity. But it's up to us to take advantage of that opportunity. Jupiter will show us the way, but we're the ones that have to walk the path. So this is pointing us inward. Know yourself. We then have the Seven of Voices, which is the Seven of Swords. Once again, we have air. This is thoughts. This is communication. This card has to do with sneakiness, evasiveness. What's going on beneath the surface? We can literally see the shadow and the light reflected here. This very much aligns with that Jupiter and Cancer energy, right? Like, what's going on in the shadows that I haven't been paying attention to? What has managed to evade my attention and awareness that's been operating below the surface or in the background in my mind? What kind of patterns are playing? What kind of programs are running that I haven't even noticed because they've become so second nature, because they are so conditioned in me? So this card is really telling us to go inward, to know yourself, to pay attention, to see what's happening below the surface. It's also saying, hey, go swim in those waters and see how amazing you really are. Like, recognize your beauty. And yes, your physical beauty, of course, because each of us has this beautiful quality to us physically that is uniquely ours, right? But there's also this inner beauty from which the physical beauty emanates from, right? It's saying, like, go in and recognize what makes you unique, because each of us is a precious little snowflake. Each of us is completely individual. We come into this world uniquely stamped with our own soul signature. And we came here for a reason. We came here to be that signature, right? And then as we grow up, we get conditioned to all be the same and follow the same patterns and do this way because then you fit in and then you are accepted. That's not really why we're here, though. So they always say, the cultivation of wisdom is a process of unlearning what you've been taught, okay? Which is also a very Uranus and Gemini kind of theme. We're unlearning these things. So that's what it's saying. It's saying go in and embrace your inner freak. Be who you truly are, even if it is different, even if it makes you a little uncomfortable at first, right? That Two of Wands from the previous reading also talks about pushing yourself outside your comfort zone. This is how we grow, right? So the Galactic Center is offering us this wisdom at this time. Pay attention to the programs that are running beyond or beneath your awareness and embrace the truth and the beauty of who you really are. Because when you are in that authenticity, you hold a much higher vibration. It is the highest vibration that you can hold when you are in your true authentic self, your true authenticity. Whether you can speak clearly or not, it doesn't matter. That's who you are. Embrace who you are. That's going to be the thing, right? That really elevates you to a higher frequency. And when you're in that high frequency, that's what you're seeding into reality, right? So there was also this really beautiful message that came through the Galactic Center that I channeled. And this isn't like word for word. I just kind of, because I wasn't like writing when I was channeling. I was just getting the message and then it was over and it was like, oh, I got to write that down. So what came through, this is really beautiful and very Sagittarius. Allow yourself to hope. Allow yourself to feel hope at this time. Hope is a very powerful emotion when it comes to manifestation. This is coming from the Galactic Center. And then I heard that Emily Dickinson poem in my head. Hope is a thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without knowing the words and never stops at all. Right? Such a beautiful, beautiful poem. And it is so true, right? Hope. Let hope be seated in your heart at this time. We have been conditioned through society, through media, etc., not to hope, to fear hope, to criticize hope. We've been taught that hope is naive. We've been taught that you shouldn't hope because then your hopes can be dashed. Because hope lifts you up and you're just going to be brought down. So you need to protect yourself from hope, right? We've been conditioned to be very anti-hope in our world. And this message through the Galactic Center was saying, embrace hope, because hope is one of the emotions that can take you into a very high frequency and it will boost your manifestations. And again, we are in a manifestation window at this time with the new moon. And I also heard that freedom can be found in hope, which is so beautiful. Again, you think about the Emily Dickinson poem, right? The bird. It's a thing with feathers that perches in the soul, and it sings the tune without knowing the words, and it never stops at all. This is how we lay the seeds for new earth. And again, this ties into that Syrian emissary card as well. And the Syrian emissary card, one thing I forgot to mention is that it also talks in the book, and this really stood out to me as important. Maybe you're done healing. Maybe don't focus so much on healing at this time. If you are a spiritually aware person, you've probably done a lot of shadow work and you're probably very vigilant about healing. You're probably very aware of your triggers and aware of your shadow. And there's always this kind of hypervigilance, like, what's that? Oh, I smell a shadow. I'm on it. I'm going to go integrate that right now. I'm going to go work on that right now. I'm working on my healing. I'm working on this. I'm working on this. I'm working on this. And that card was really emphasizing for this time, for this window, maybe forget that you have any work to do. Maybe you don't have to do any work. Maybe there's nothing to fix right now. And then coupled with this Galactic Center message, right? Hope. Maybe now is the time to be super Pollyanna and be shameless about it. Be unapologetically hopeful. Embrace naivety for the moment, right? It's not forever. Your nihilism is waiting for you on the other side of this portal window. You can jump right back into that if you want to. But for the moment, maybe let yourself be light and maybe let yourself believe that crazy miracles are possible. And what would that look like? And how would that feel to have that happen? And what do you want to see change in your life and in the world? Let your inner child dream during this time. Okay. In the very last reading, that Juno Venus conjunction with the new moon. I mean, do I even need to explain this? The energy coming through that. So there's a lot about manifesting new earth, right? There's a lot of this physical stuff, the emotional and the physical and the perception, the mind, and like, what are we creating? Okay. And it's very much coming through, Uranus and Taurus. This is Uranus's last pass through Taurus. So Uranus is like, hey, I've been working to decondition your perceptions about value and what you can create in this world. And I love that there is a bird outside my window chirping right now. Sorry, because I just talked about the bird and the. Okay. Uh, anyway, it's all about deconditioning, what we want to create and what is possible in the physical, right? So it's giving us like a final test, a final push, like, hey, are you ready to do this now? So there is a lot of that, and that's where that King of Pentacles energy comes in from the other reading, right? Becoming a master of the physical reality. Venus rules Taurus, so that's the physical side of Venus. Like, how can I generate resources for my sustainability and survival that bring me a sense of harmony? Okay. What do I value? What is my worth? And how can I reflect that in my physical world? But Venus is also love and relationships, right? It's also the heart and what gives us a emotional harmony and connection with other people. Juno, goddess asteroid Juno, is the goddess asteroid of divine marriage and the higher twin flame self, right? So it can be a twin flame that you physically manifest as a relationship in this reality, but it's also your higher self and the union that you enter into with your higher self, what you need to enter into that union. So having, our planet of love and relationships conjunct with the goddess asteroid of divine marriage and the higher self. I mean, and this is all part of the new moon, right? It's all conjunct with the new moon at this time. And it's in Sagittarius and it's the solstice and there's the Galactic Center and there's all this going on. I mean, no surprise here that we get the 10 of Cups, which is the card of emotional fulfillment and you're happily ever after. It's literally like the most fulfilled you can be emotionally. That's what it symbolizes. Completion, the number 10, right? Then we have the Ace of Cups, an emotional new beginning, right? Something brand new, birthed from the heart at this time. This card is also about spiritual blessings, like having divine blessings come through. And remember, the yod, the finger pointing at this, right? This Venus and Juno conjunction is in conjunction with the new moon itself. The new moon is the apex of the yod. This is the divine realignment. So the moral of the story here is when you allow yourself to be divinely realigned, which can be a little tricky at first, but if you let yourself go with the flow, if you allow yourself to be moved, this is what is waiting for you in that realignment. This is the most beautiful, abundant, emotionally fulfilling energy, right? These are new relationships. And do y'all remember when I talked about Jupiter retrograde? I talked about soulmates coming in. I talked about soul tribe, right? That's what these cards are talking about. So, yes, this is love. This is romantic love for those that this applies to, but it's also platonic love, right? It's agapic love. It's unconditional love. We are connecting with folks who are of the same vibration as us. We are connecting with our tribe. We are coming together as a community now. That's what's being seeded, right? Because again, this is a new moon. We're seeding something at this time. That's why Spirit and the Galactics and the Galactic Center and all these energies are coming through and saying, like, take yourself to the top of the frequency ladder at this time because what your vibration is what you are seeding. So let yourself be hopeful and let yourself be naively optimistic and let yourself dream the biggest dream that you can, because this is setting the tone for where we go next, right? And this is bringing new earth into manifestation. This is the paradigm that you are seeding at this time. So imagine what you want to see change and shift, because that is what you are bringing down into manifestation now. That is the energy of this new moon. I'm sorry, I'm getting a huge surge of energy going between my solar plexus and my heart chakra right now. It is, whew, it's like that Christmas morning feeling that you get as a kid. Like, oh my gosh, I have all these presents that I have to open. I can't wait to see what they are. That's this energy right now, folks. That's the energy. Get into it. Get into that inner child energy. It is so beautiful if you let yourself feel it, okay? And again, I know this isn't always easy when there's all the distractions going on. And those distractions are going to be there, right? Haters going to hate. Like, the darkness doesn't want you here. It doesn't want you in this energy, right? So it's going to do whatever it can. It's going to throw all the curveballs. It's going to take all the karma from all the old timelines, and it's going to throw it at the wall and see what sticks. But you are a master of your energy. You are a spiritual master. You already are. We're all under the delusion that we're learning and that we have to fix things and that we have to change. But the truth is, you already are this. You're just remembering it. You just forgot it for a little while. Well, now is the time to remember. You already know how to do this. You already have everything you need. You don't even need me to be telling you this right now. And really, I'm just a reflection of you talking to you right now. Hey, you. I'm not Christina. I'm you, reminding you of what you already know. You already have everything that you need. You are a master. You can create whatever reality you want. Let's all put our big, beautiful imaginations together and let's connect our hearts and let's create something brand new that is so freaking beautiful. Let's see how high we can take it. Seriously. Okay, that's my pep talk. Can you tell I'm vibing in my Sag energy? I have a stellium in Sagittarius, you guys, so I've got a lot of Sag energy. And it is just spilling forth right now. And as well, I talked about Black Moon Lilith changing signs, Black Moon Lilith is our shadow, right? Our feminine shadow. It's a lot of the unconscious stuff that's buried beneath the surface that makes us feel judged and it makes us feel ashamed and it makes us feel ostracized by society in some way or rejected by other people. And that's, what she represents when you look at where Lilith is in your chart. It tells you the specific flavor of energy in which you feel those things, right? But when she's transiting, she can shine a light on how we carry a little bit of that in each of us because we do it collectively, right? And I talked about this in the beginning. There's a lot of judgment around this. Nowadays, it's like, you're not cool if you're not being a realist, right? It's like you need to be real and you need to be grounded and you need to be serious and you're going to get hurt. That's stupid. You're being naive. Think about all the programming that we take on for holding this energy, right? Think about what that does to your inner child. We have a lot of this, right? So as Lilith transits through Sagittarius, which is going to be going on all year, right? She's going to be there for a year, but we feel that energy when she changes signs, and especially being at that 0 degree, because the 0 degree is this very, infinite, and it's an exponential kind of energy. It really expands the energy for us. So think about that. Think about the conditioning that you have taken on around this. and ask yourself, and pardon my French before I say this, but ask yourself, is this not just a bunch of bullshit? Like, who is anyone to tell me what to believe? Who is anyone to tell me what to feel and what to think and how to perceive my reality? I don't want to be negative, and I don't want to believe in limitation. I want to believe in infinite possibility. I want to believe in magic. I want to believe in miracles. And you know what? My thoughts create reality. And no, it might not show up immediately. And again, I'm actually pretty grateful for that. But with enough consistency and discipline and with hope, those things will show up. And that's exactly what we're doing right now. It's exactly what's happening right now. So, solstice, new moon, portal window. Welcome, folks. Welcome to the culmination of 2025. It is so beautiful. What a beautiful gift we're being given after a very grueling year. This is, the icing on the cake. This is your gift, right? Take advantage of it. Take advantage of the gift and the opportunity you are being given now. And dare to dream, because what you are dreaming up now is what is being seeded in the physical, and we are going to see this come into fruition over the next couple of years. And I am not kidding, folks. I'm talking about outer planets, shifting signs. We're talking about Neptune and Saturn at 0 degrees of Aries. This is the start of a new cycle on the world axis. This isn't just you. This isn't just your personal realm of experience. This is the collective. This is the global, right? We are starting a whole new cycle. That is why Spirit is emphasizing this now. How do you want to start it? What kind of foot do you want to start off on? I felt weird saying that in in a different order. Like how do you want to begin this new cycle? Because the energy that you carry into it is what you are going to seed. Be a conscious creator and choose what you want to create. You have the power to do it. You really do. Okay. I hope you all have a beautiful new moon and a beautiful winter solstice. And yeah, happy 2025, folks. I'm so happy to have you here. Thank you for watching. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.